and we are ready to get going with another Talent Champions Council Masterclass, and we're really excited. So, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The format for those of you, if you've never been on one of these before, is we do about 30 minutes. So Jason and I've got some questions for Jason. He and I will spend about 30 minutes with some questions that I have, and then we're going to dive into questions that you guys have. So the way that we do that is just in the chat, just raise your hand and say, I have a question. Don't put the question in there. And then Kathy will relay that to me. I'll call on you and you can ask your question directly to Jason. Another thing to put in your calendar, our next masterclass, and this one is going to be unbelievable, is July 27th. It's with John Rulin. John is the co-founder of Giftology, and he is unbelievable. His message is something that unless you've heard him before, it's a message that you've never heard before on the strategy of gifting, which sounds a little odd, but wait until you listen to John Rulin. He is unbelievable, off the charts. Two other things quickly. Kara Golden, who is one of our 4 advisory board members for the Talent Champions Council, gifted us discounts for Hint. So hopefully everybody got that email. If you didn't get the email, let Kathy Lecky know. And that was, you'll get your discount code for your Hint products. So get your 3 cases of water. It's awesome. And then send Kara a thank you for her generosity. And last but not least, everyone that's done a masterclass so far, including Mr. Van Camp, gave us some tunes that they like to listen to. So we put together a masterclass music mashup that is on Spotify. So we've got a great playlist from Heather Monahan and LGO and Kara Golden and Jason. So I think you guys will like it, and you'll have to guess. Well, no, you don't have to guess because I think we tell you in the email. Again, if you're not getting those emails, make sure you check your spam because it should be there, or just contact myself or Kathy, and we can make sure that you guys get all the information that you need. So without any further ado, this is a special treat. We have Jason Van Camp talking about leadership. So I'll give you a quick bio on Jason. He's a West Point grad, which in and of itself is pretty impressive. He played football for Army. He is a decorated Green Beret. He is the author of an incredible book called Deliberate Discomfort. If you have not read this book, you've got to pick it up. It was a bestseller and it's unbelievable. And we're going to give 2 away today. He's also the chairman of Mission 60. He's the executive director of Warrior Rising, and we were talking a little bit about what they're doing for veteran entrepreneurs through Warrior Rising. And he is one of 4 Talent Champions Council advisory board members, along with Laura Gassner-Otting, Claude Silver, and Kara Golden. So without any further ado, I wanted to introduce you to Jason. But actually, before we do that, let's give away 2 copies of Deliberate Discomfort. So this is the way we're going to run this challenge. The first person to put the right answer in the chat wins the book. And the first one, if you've done your homework on Mr. Van Camp, I think you got a shot at this one. What is Jason's favorite baseball team? The O's, the Yankees. No. Nope. Twins, Braves, Phillies. Now, whoever got Nationals, you got it. So Jason grew up in the DC area. Second question, and we're just gonna, I don't know, we'll go top 10 answers, and whoever's closest will win. So Jason, obviously, for many reasons. One, he's done a mission. Another one is as a Green Beret, he's traveled all over the world. How many countries has Jason visited in his lifetime? 37, 14. I don't know. I think we got 10 answers. The answer, 61 countries. So whoever got closest there, and this is Price is Right rules. If you went over, you're busted. So you had to be under in order to win. But I wanted to introduce you guys to Jason. He's a great friend, and there's probably nobody better to talk about leadership. So I'm going to start off, Jason. You've got a rare trifecta. You've been a leader in sports as a football player. You've been a leader as a Green Beret, and you've been a leader of a nonprofit and of a company. And that's a rare trifecta to have. So I'd love to get your thoughts to start us out on what you see as the differences and what you see as the similarities in terms of leadership in those three, what appear to be very different settings.
Thanks, Scott. Well, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. And thanks, Kathy, and everybody else on the team. I'm honored to be an advisory board member as well. So let me put that out there in the beginning. So, what are similarities and what are differences between leadership from the sports level, from the military, and from the business level? Okay. Um, I think there there are so many similarities between all of them. I mean, really, what it comes down to is you're selfish about being selfless. You care about other people. You want to make sure that they succeed and you put their needs and their desires and their goals above your own. That's sort of the hallmark of a great leader. And if you do that in sports, in business, or in the military, your people will love you. They'll buy into you. They'll work for you. They'll do anything for you. And as you learn in the military, especially, you don't succeed. You don't get your goes in training. You don't win in combat. Your team gets you your goes. Your team helps you get your wins. Your team helps you get promoted. So if you help someone else achieve their dreams and their goals and their aspirations, they're going to help you achieve yours. Differences, obviously, in the military, it's life and death. Especially when you're in the special operations. In the business world, it's not that. But there's a lot of stress. People are counting on you for their livelihood. They're counting on you to make good decisions so they can feed their families and they can do what they want to do. Um, I see a lot of differences in culture. In the military, it's pretty clear. There's a very strong shared culture, which is rooted in adversity. We have shared um, difficult experiences, through the training that we've all been through, and so we can always go back to that. And there's a sort of a family and a brotherhood, so to speak, that's kind of rooted in those experiences, foundation of commonalities. You don't see that in business, and you don't see a whole lot of loyalty, I don't think, in business either, especially if you don't find that culture. We work with a lot of professional sports teams, and I'll tell you, as soon as you walk in the lobby, you can feel that atmosphere. You can feel that culture. You know right away, hey, this team, this organization, they're squared away. They know what they're doing. And some of them, you're like, man, this place is a disaster. This is chaos. They need a lot of help. I don't even need to speak to someone. You can just feel it. And so I'll leave you with that. I hope that makes sense.
It does. So when you sense that great culture or that negative culture, I'm assuming that you attribute it to leadership.
That's what it comes down to. The person that created this organization, that makes the decision for this organization, person that's ultimately at the top is the person that sets the culture, whether they know it or not.
Yep.
Sometimes you have people underneath of them that kind of step in and help them develop that without them knowing. And that's great. They're lucky if that happens. But most of the time, the person at the top is focused on their own goals, and they neglect the goals and the vision and the desires of their employees. And that's when you run into trouble.
So as a leader, on the football field, battlefield, and boardroom, eh, do you think one is harder than the other? And if so, why?
I'd say choose your hard. What's hard for me might not be hard for you, right?
But
And
in your
so,
experience, because you've done all three, did
yeah.
you find one more challenging to be a leader uh, in either the military, the the playing field, or the boardroom?
And that's a great question. I'll tell you, in sports, it's sort of like when you're playing well, you know, guys sort of inherently start to look up to you and they start to kind of push you to be a leader. And you sort of learn, most people learn, some people don't, um, that you're kind of the influencer on the team. And because you're the influencer, people naturally start to look to you and you sort of have to make decisions. In the military, you're trained on how to do that. You're given that authority, you're given that responsibility. And if you don't do it, you're out pretty quickly. In the business world, not so much. Most organizations that I've run into, they expect that you're a leader because you wrote it down on your resume. They expect that you're a leader because, um, you know, you're applying for a job where your last job you did something and they say, well, clearly, of course, you know what you're doing. And very rarely do they actually know what they're doing. And so they're placed in a position where they're expected to do a lot of things and they just don't know how to do it. And they sort
Yep.
of fall on their face. So of all the three different examples, I'll tell you that business for me was the hardest. Military, basically my whole life was military. I get it. It makes sense. Going into the business world, it's not like the military. Nor did I expect it to be like the military, but it's a different level of discomfort. And for me, like I said before, choose your hard. That was hard for me.
Interesting. Let's talk. You just mentioned discomfort.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily leadership related, but I think it's fascinating. And the more that I'm around people like yourself, or whether it's Jesse Itzler or anybody like that, putting yourself in discomfort deliberately can be a game changer. Talk to us a little bit about the principles in the book, um, and also talk to us a little bit about. So Jason does a challenge called the Deliberate Discomfort Challenge, and talk about why that's so important, and maybe tie it back to leadership or just being successful in the business world. Why should people do those things?
Yeah, no, great question. Let me start it out with a question of my own. So you held up my book before previously. Who has read Deliberate Discomfort? Raise your hand if you have. Raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up if you've read this book. Okay, nobody. Awesome. Scott, you
What?
have clearly.
Yeah.
So, so this book focuses on helping people get comfortable being uncomfortable, and it's all about voluntarily, intentionally, deliberately choosing discomfort. Because hard times are going to come, whether you like
Yeah.
it or not. You might as well be proactive and prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this deliberate discomfort mindset is all about. And in the military, we learned about the whole person concept. We call it the total warrior concept. And we look at mental, physical, spiritual, social, emotional, and professional domains. And we try to help you expand your comfort zones in each of those domains. And so one of the things that we do at Mission 60, and Scott alluded to it, is we have a deliberate discomfort challenge. It's a 60-day challenge. No excuses, no mercy. You have to do everything I ask you to do for 60 straight days. And what that means is mentally, we ask you to read a book to completion from Monday to Sunday. So in 1 week, pick a book, read it to completion. We've got a library of books to choose from, or you can read your own books. And if you want to read a kid's book that's 10 pages, that's your discomfort. If you want to read War and Peace, that's your discomfort. You choose what it means to you. Physically, we give you 2 workouts a day. We give you the program. You don't have to do it on your own or develop it yourself. 60 minutes in the gym every day, 60 minutes cardio every day. Do 2 workouts a day. We also give you a nutrition plan. And if you want to upgrade to have meals delivered to your door, we do that as well. Spiritually, many of you know John McCaskill. He's also a Mission 60 member, Navy SEAL commander, recently retired. He's created a mindfulness practice for us. And so we listen to mindfulness exercises, the audio file every single day. And every day we increase the amount of time we practice mindfulness. And I'll tell you, the first time I heard about mindfulness, I researched a little bit and I just thought, this is a bunch of baloney. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Forget about it. And it was not until somebody with some credibility, John, who was like, no, Jason, this stuff works. Let me show you how. Let me teach you how. Buy into this and it'll work. I'll tell you, mindfulness works. It's a phenomenal tool. So we do the mindfulness practice. Socially, we ask you to reach out to somebody from your life, a family member, a friend, a past friend, somebody you've had a falling out with, and have a meaningful conversation with this person and reconnect. And if you don't have anybody from your past, then reach out to somebody new. And we've got plenty of people in the Deliberate Discomfort tribe that you can reach out to. Emotion, we have a gratitude journal. And so we ask you to write in your gratitude journal every day. Some people write a few pages, some people write a paragraph. Choose your heart. And professionally, we have a masterclass, 66 videos, and you watch one video every single day. And each video is about 15 minutes in duration. And in addition to that, we want you to post something that impacted you from the challenge on a social media platform of your choice during that day. So there's a lot to it, but you'd be surprised how much time you're able to make for yourself when you care about something. And so I beta tested this last year. I lost 34 pounds. But that wasn't just, it's not just about the physical portion of it. I mean, I started reading again. You know, I've got a stack of books on my nightstand. I'm like, oh, I want to read these books. And I just get too tired at night. Started reading again. Started practicing mindfulness. Started, you know, doing all these things that are important for me in my life to become better as a human being. I did it again in January with the tribe. We've had about 1,000 people sign up for it so far. It's really, testimonials are through the roof. I'm really proud of it. And we're really helping people. And that's something I'm proud of.
Yeah, it's an incredible challenge. It's very difficult. But I think the thing that, you know, you hear a lot is, well, I don't have time for that, because it does look like it chews up a lot of your time, and it's substantial. But I think when you peel away all the nonsense that we all wind up, you know, finding ourselves, whether it's a Netflix binge or whatever, we all have time and we make time for the things that we prioritize. So I would highly, highly recommend, you know, reading Jason's book, participating in the Deliberate Discomfort Challenge. I think it's a game changer. And almost everybody that I know that's uber successful, they put themselves in deliberate discomfort, whether that's, you know, cold showers in the morning or just doing the stuff that sucks. And I think when, as a leader, when your team sees you doing those things, you know, it has an impact. How is it, Jason, you know, running your company, Mission 60, you know, with Medal of Honor winners and, you know, a lot of guys, special ops guys like yourself, that must take leadership to another level, because you're leading a pretty accomplished, amazing group of people. Tell me a little bit about some of the things maybe that you do as a leader at Mission 60.
That's a great question. My mother always used to tell me, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You know, if you want to be a starter on the varsity team, hang around starters on the varsity team. You know, if you want to smoke pot all day, hang around these pot smokers and do nothing, right? It goes both ways. And so when I created Mission 60, I said, you know, I want to recruit some of my closest friends, some of the best leaders I've ever met in my life. People that I want my kids to be around and just soak up everything that they are. Because if we can get those people on a team together, there's no way we can fail, um, and we're going to succeed. So I recruited Nate Boyer. He's sort of a military celebrity, Green Beret, played for University of Texas, walked on the team as a 29-year-old true freshman, never played football a day before in his life. Became a starter on the team, played for the Seattle Seahawks, right? He's an actor now. One of my closest friends, we went through the Q course together, Special Forces qualification course. Flo Groberg, who's a Medal of Honor recipient, he tackled a suicide bomber in Afghanistan and saved the lives of many people. Leroy Petrie, another Medal of Honor recipient, in a firefight with the Taliban. He got shot through both of his legs twice, continued fighting. There was a grenade thrown into his trench, and he picked up the grenade and threw it out. It blew his arm off. He calmly took a tourniquet off of his body armor, stopped the bleeding on his right arm, picked his weapon up with his left arm, continued fighting the Taliban, defeated the Taliban, and then got his two fellow soldiers who were injured by their grenade to safety. I've got Dan Quinn, who is a Green Beret West Point guy, who stood up for a 8-year-old Afghan child who was being physically assaulted and raped and kept as a sex slave by his Afghan commander. And ultimately, he got kicked out of the Green Berets. I've got Navy SEALs on my team. I've got Rangers, Marines, amputees. Joey Jones, for example, double amputees on Fox News. And so I combine these special operations forces guys with science. So I have PhDs, researchers, and experts on the team as well. And so that's our secret sauce, is we have the SOF, special operations forces, with science. We combine those two things together. In the military, especially in the Green Berets, you're managing a team of type A personalities, and everybody thinks that they have the right answer, and everybody's going to give you their opinion and offer a critique about everything. And when I first got to my team, I was overwhelmed. I thought to myself, man, all these guys do is complain 24/7 about everything. Every decision I make, they complain. And I tell people all the time, still, I say, nobody complains more than a special forces team, right? And I told this to my commander. He's like, how's it going, Jason, after a week or two in? And I'm like, sir, I gotta be honest with you. These guys complain up the ass, and he started laughing. He's like, well, yeah, but listen, Jason, pay attention to what they're saying. I said, oh, I'm paying attention. All right. He said, no, I don't think you are, because when they complain, do they offer a solution? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess they do. They say things like, hey, why are we doing it this way? I don't like doing it this way. Let's do it this way, or whatever, something like that. And he said, Jason, complaining with solutions is problem solving. And that's what you'll find on your A team, a group of guys that are problem solvers. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. As a commander, you have to listen to them and make the best decision. And so leading my business is sort of the same thing. I listen to my guys. I want to get to know them. So I get to know them up front. And one of the things I do is I have them list out their values. What means the most to them? Show me your values. For me, for example, I tell them that I've got 5 values: determination, resourcefulness, loyalty, service, and caring. And that's who I am. That's what means the most to me. When I meet other people who also display those values, we resonate big time. We become fast friends, right? But not everybody's like that. So I got to get to know what their values are and why. And then I ask them, why are you here? What are your goals? What's your vision? What do you want to do with your life? Because once I find that out, I can help them accomplish that. And when I'm helping them accomplish that and they see that, they buy into everything I'm doing. And so I do that right up front, and I make sure that they know that I care about them. And I think that's how I'd answer that question.
I love it. I love it. What you were saying before reminds me. So in my former life, before becoming an entrepreneur, I was a chief revenue officer, and my boss was the CEO. And his policy was that if you came to him with a problem, you had to come with 3 solutions. Otherwise, he wouldn't talk to you. And he wasn't kidding. Like, he literally would do that. And the first solution that you had, he would automatically reject it. It would drive you nuts, but it forced you to come up. And what happened over time was nobody ever went to him because everyone solved their own problems. It was an amazing, he had deficiencies in other areas, but that was something that I took away and really was really impactful for me. So we are at that time when I love to open it up to you guys to ask questions directly to Jason. So we are going right in my backyard. So a buddy of mine in Madison, Connecticut, Tim, you
Hey,
got the
Scott.
first question for Jason Van Camp.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Scott, thanks for hosting this. This is an amazing opportunity to talk to somebody like Jason. Jason, how are you? My name is Tim McEnany. Thanks for coming on board.
What's up, Tim? My pleasure to be here. I can't see you on my screen, but go for it.
The big question that I had was, you've been around a lot of high performing individuals and you've had to manage them or be the leader on that team. How do you push somebody who's seemingly at the top of their game or world class in what they do? How do you push them to get them to the next level so that they achieve even more and they become, in discomfort,
A great question. And I'll tell you this, choose your hard. What's hard for me might not be hard for you. And I'll give you an example. Admiral McRaven will say, make your bed first thing in the morning. Love it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I went to West Point. I made my bed first thing in the morning. Every single morning I was there. And it's become a habit for me. It's not hard for me. Take cold showers in the morning. I lived in Russia for 2 years. In the springtime, they cut off the hot water and all we have is cold water. I got used to it pretty quickly. It's not hard for me. But for example, running an Ironman race is hard for me, right? My buddy, James Lawrence, they call him the Iron Cowboy. He lives just down the street from me. He ran 50 Ironman races in 50 consecutive days in all 50 states a few years ago. And so I always thought to myself, man, running an Ironman, that's tough. You're a badass if you can do that. Now I'm thinking to myself, I got to pull out my man card from my pocket and look at it when I look at this guy who ran 50 in a row. And only to top himself, in March, he started 100 Ironman races in a row. He didn't go to all 50 states, but he did 100 Ironman races in a row here in Utah. And I went down to support him on 3 separate occasions. And on day 78, the second time I went down there to support him, I ran the entire marathon with him. And that's just 1/3 of one day. And I got done with that. My feet were blistered up and I was like, man, that sucked. My legs were hurting. I'm like, man, amazing. That guy's incredible. That's not hard for him, right? It's incredibly hard for me. And so for people that are already high performers, I say, what's hard for you? Maybe it's something that's not hard for you, saying social media. You know what I mean? I don't like posting on social media. That's hard for me. For other people, they love it. So I would say, what's your hard? Let's figure out what it is for you and let's help you achieve that. I tell people all the time, think about what's hard for you. Okay. Give you a few seconds. All right. Now do that. All right. That's how you're going to push yourself. That's how you're going to become better as a leader because you already know the things you should be doing. You think about them all the time. You're just not doing them. And it's not really the action. It's the emotion associated with the action. And that's why you procrastinate. That's why you push off on it.
Love
Good
it.
question.
That's amazing. That's really good. So it's not the action, it's the emotion you're creating by achieving something hard.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
Tim, great question. We are going to one of my favorite people, going to Vermont. Catherine, you're up with Jason.
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello.
It's not what
Hi.
Vermont looks like, really.
I know.
No palm trees.
This might get me through the bleak winter. Maybe similar to Russia. I'm not sure. I tuned into your LinkedIn Live on Friday. It was very entertaining. And one thing that resonated with me was that people do the challenge and then they recycle.
Yes.
And I'd like to know more about the mindset. Like, how do you foster that mindset in people who don't innately have it? Maybe they haven't been through the military, where they can be, I did it for 49 days, but I have to drop out, but I'm ready for the next challenge. So how do you foster that mindset in people?
I give them the rules and I let them choose for themselves. And what you find out is people all the time ask me, Jason, does this count? Is this okay? Is this like what? And I say, you tell me. You tell me. Did you do everything you were supposed to do? I'm not your judge. You're your own judge. And I think most people are then critical of themselves, and they recycle. So, like I said earlier, just for everybody, 60 days in a row, and you have to do all 6 of the requirements every single day. And if you miss a requirement, you have an option to either quit, and nobody likes being called a quitter, right? Or you can recycle all the way back to day 1, meaning if you got to day 59 and you forgot to write in your gratitude journal, well, then, I'm not there looking over your shoulder to tell you, hey, you didn't write your gratitude journal. You tell me. And so you have to recycle all the way back to day 1, just like in the military, just like in Ranger School. Like if you don't get your go in Ranger School, you recycle back to the beginning. And so hopefully you're there at Ranger School for like 2.5 months, 3 months. You're true blue all the way through. But there are times when, you're there for 9 months, like living in the woods for 9 months because you continue to recycle and you just don't quit. And so that was my idea for creating the challenge. Like you recycle if you don't get it. What was different, what I didn't expect was people would come up to me and they would say, Jason, I only got 4 today. I only got 5 out of the 6, but I don't want to quit and I don't want to recycle. I just want to continue with my class, with my tribe. I want to continue doing this, knowing that on day 60, I cannot call myself an official graduate. And for me, that was surprising. My mindset doesn't go there. I wouldn't want to do the whole thing and not say I did it, right? But a lot of people do that. A lot of people, a lot more than I expected, and that's okay too. So, you're your hardest critic, I think, and that's a good thing, right? But I would also tell you to doubt your doubts before you doubt yourself. And a lot of people will say, prove those haters wrong, prove that you can do it. I take the opposite stance. I think about the people that have believed in me. And I say, prove those believers right. I think that's a little bit more powerful. And that's what I encourage people to do when they go through the challenge.
Thank you so much. I definitely like the positivity of thinking of these people believe in me and I'm going to live up to their expectations of me instead of the negative connotation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Catherine. And also, it's not like you're doing it yourself. Like if you do it by yourself, you're alone, there are going to be times when you're sore, you're tired, you don't want to do things. But when you see other people in your class getting through each challenge, struggling, being vulnerable and open and explaining to you how difficult it is for them, when they're doing that and it's your turn to perform, you say to yourself, this guy, this girl did it. I'm not going to let them down, right? I'm going to do it as well because people are looking at you. People are looking to you for inspiration, right? And when you do it as a tribe, it's just that much more powerful.
We are going to go where in the world, I have no idea. So to my buddy Daniel, so we're going to say Denver, but we know he's not really in Denver. Amazing guy, newly minted entrepreneur, just a rock star. Funny thing is, we got a TCC member in Montenegro, and I said, where the hell is Montenegro? And literally had to Google it. And I think that very day, or maybe the next day, I was talking to Daniel, and I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm in Montenegro. I was like, this is a crazy world we live in. So I forgot already where he said he was at this moment. I'm sure it's a place that Jason's probably visited. But Daniel, you're up. And one other plug for Daniel. He is a former hockey national champion.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. You set me up pretty well. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And everything's coming in. But yeah, Jason, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Couple notes of just relation. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so leadership has always been something that has been important to me. And one of my youngest brothers just recently graduated West Point as well, played for their hockey team there. He was captain of their team.
Nice.
And before that, he was at
in the USHL and won a national championship there. So I'd like to attribute
Wow.
all of that, of course, to my leadership and not any of his own doing, but just kidding. But yeah, I just, it's amazing what you guys are doing. And he's doing Black Hawk helicopters now as a pilot. So really proud of him, and his wife, he met at West Point as well, and she's doing the same thing. So
Awesome.
that's some points of relation. But as Scott mentioned, I just kind of started my own data analytics company, and I've been doing enterprise consulting for other people, mostly in a sales role, kind of my whole life. And as I just get started, it's really up to me to kind of build this culture. Like you mentioned, I'm focused on recruiting and sales. But I just want to know in general, kind of open-ended question, as for entrepreneurs, what would be just like a general point of advice, as I'm trying to go from 0 to 1, essentially. And really, I haven't even got my first client yet, but I got this vision, but it's just not quite fulfilled. We're close, but just curious your opinion and maybe a recommendation or advice in general for someone just getting out the gates like me.
That's a great question. I mean, I could go all day on an answer there. I would say first thing is, if you never quit, you never fail, right? So keep that in mind. You're excited about it right now. You're fired up. You're ready to go. There are dark times ahead. There are rough roads ahead. There are times when you're gonna be like, F this. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? You know what I mean? And you have to have a strong why. And I think you have to have people around you. They're going to pick you up when you have those dark times, right? So make sure you have a strong team around you, a strong team that's not going to quit when things are tough, a strong team that will have your back and they'll be loyal to you. And you place the mission first. Say, this is our vision. This is what we want to accomplish. This is how we're going to get there. Let's stay true to this. Sales is hard. It's very hard. And the people on your team will be broken up into basically two sections: engineers and marketers. And so try to understand where they fit in each category, because you can't make a cat bark like a dog, man. Meaning the engineers, the content creators, those guys, I mean, they'll be your worst salesmen. They're like, find me one sale, just one sale. And they can't do it no matter how hard they try. Keep them in their lane. And then for the marketers, keep them in their lane as well. The good idea fairies will really corrupt the engineers from time to time. And you don't want that. You want them out knocking doors, making calls, finding clients. Your business has to make money, or it's just an expensive hobby. You got to focus on that bottom line. And your people, that's your number one resource, man. So make sure your people are taken care of before yourself. And you just got to work your ass off, man. And good things will happen.
Okay, yeah, beautiful. And quick follow-up question. I know everyone's got more questions as well, but for Warrior Rising, how can we get involved with that if that's something where potentially we want to work with you in the future? I'm sure you work with some big organizations, but just curious on that, because that's pretty cool for me.
Oh, I love it. Thanks for asking that. I think, the purpose of life is to find your gift, and the meaning of life is to give your gift away. And after I created Mission 60 and found some success there, I had veterans that were saying, Jason, we want to start businesses too. And I started asking them questions, and I found out pretty quickly they have no idea what they're doing, starting a business or anything like that. But they had that drive and determination. And that's why I started Warrior Rising, to help them help themselves, to help them find their purpose again post-military. And so we do a number of things at Warrior Rising. We'd love for people to get involved. We have 4 to 6 business showers a year. Our next business shower, which is an opportunity, I said it earlier at the beginning of the call, but I don't think everybody was there. It's an opportunity for us to select our top veteran entrepreneurs, and bring them to a location and give them everything that they need to succeed as a business owner. We give them a free custom business suit, a free laptop computer, a free website, free marketing videos. Diesel Jack Media creates videos for them that they can use as commercials or ads or put on their website. And then we give them a chance to get mentored by some of the top mentors in our network. I mean, billionaire owners, millionaire businessmen, veterans, and the like. And then we have a pitch competition where everybody gets money. The winner gets $20,000. Sometimes the runners up get $20,000. Usually they get $10,000, and everybody else gets about $2,000 in addition to everything else. Our next event is going to be in October in Las Vegas. And then following that, we're going to New York on December 8th through 12th. And it's going to coincide with the Army-Navy football game, which we go to as a board, as a group, which is a lot of fun. So if you guys are in the Las Vegas area or want to be in the Las Vegas area or in New York in December, let me know. Love to have you. Love to have you guys come out and be a mentor, observe, just be a part of the experience because it's a lot of fun and we really do help vets. You hear the word "hua" a lot, in the military. It's a battle cry. It's sort of like an affirmative, like yes. I'd love to hear Scott give me a Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade "Scent of a Woman" "hua." If you know what that reference is to,
Yeah.
give me it.
Hoo-ah!
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Well, you'll find a lot of people saying yes a lot with a lot of false motivation or a sense of initial motivation that evaporates when things get tough. But in the nonprofit world, I say there's a lot of hua, but there's not a lot of dua, right? And so that's why I created Warrior Rising, is to actually do something about it, to take action, to help veterans help themselves. And that's the only way to do it because, for example, a lot of the clients I work with, they'll say, Jason, motivate me. I just need you to motivate me. And I say, I can't motivate you. I'm not even going to try. And they're like, what are you talking about? Isn't that what you do? I say, listen, the only true motivation is self-motivation. I'm not going to be there 24/7. I'm not going to be your alarm clock. I'm not going to get you out of bed in the morning. I'm not going to motivate you to do any of this stuff. You have to motivate yourself. What I can do is I can inspire you to motivate yourself. And once you take that inspiration and you use it to motivate yourself, you're going to take action. And when you take this action, eventually, hopefully quickly, you're going to see results. And when you see results, those results will inspire you. And it kind of goes full circle again. Now you're inspiring yourself to motivate yourself, to take action, to see results. And that's what the deliberate discomfort mindset is all about. And that's what we do at Warrior Rising. So love for you to participate, be a mentor, be a donor, be a supporter, be involved in the organization. We need the help. Veterans need your help. And so thanks for asking that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Absolutely fantastic. And obviously, best of luck in your new endeavor and whatever we can do as a community to support you. We absolutely will. It's funny because in that dialogue that you guys were just having, just literally this morning on my team call with my team, we were talking about how tough our team is. Like, I have the toughest team out there. I'd put them up against anybody. Their work ethic, their discipline, and their resiliency is ridiculous. And that's a real blessing when you have that. So, that's something to be super grateful for. So next we are going to one of the best sales leaders out there, my buddy Matt Huff in New York.
Scott, thanks so much. And thanks so much for hosting. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. Jason, can't thank you enough for your service to our country, of course. So inspiring. Quick shout out. My brother was a Marine, fought in Desert Shield. So I have an unbelievable space in my heart for folks like you. Question on the leadership front, which I've always been fascinated by. Building a high producing team is one challenge, right? When that team is at its apex and it's producing at a high level, what's your advice on keeping that team in that space and making sure they continue to stay there and don't regress? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
It's kind of like going to the gym, right? And you put, let's say you're bench pressing and you put a certain amount of weights on your bench press and you do it and you get to a level where you're like, man, I'm really producing. I'm at my apex. I'm at 225. Well, to be honest with you, your potential is closer to 400, right? So when you think you're there, you've arrived, you haven't, because you never arrive. You've got to keep pushing yourself. You've got to keep pushing that comfort zone. You got to keep doing hard things or you'll die, right? We got to keep moving forward as people. And so find out what's difficult for those people and push them to achieve it. It's that simple. It really is. And I'll tell you, don't just push them hard. Take time to celebrate the victory. Meaning, when I go to the gym, I thought about this a few months ago. People are like, do you like going to the gym? And I'm like, yeah, I do like going to the gym. I find a lot of pleasure and peace going to the gym. Well, then they were like, how? like, what is it about going to the gym that helps you to feel that way? And they said, is it lifting heavy things? And I thought, like in the act of lifting something heavy, I'm not really enjoying myself. I'm thinking to myself, I can't wait for this to be over. Right. But as soon as I put the weight up and I finish my set, I feel pretty damn good about myself. And part of that is achievement. Part of that is accomplishing something, but a big part of that is breathing. I enjoy breathing at the gym, push myself so that I can look back and see what I've accomplished. And that's how growth occurs, that little moment of rest where you appreciate what you've accomplished. Now, that little moment of rest shouldn't turn into a long moment of rest where you're checking your cell phone and having conversations with people. And then all of a sudden your next set is 20 minutes later because you're really not pushing yourself. As soon as you can get back under that bench or that squat rack or whatever it is for you, the faster you'll be able to accomplish your goals because you're really pushing your limits. And eventually, yeah, you'll get to the pinnacle of what a body can endure. But I heard a really interesting story from the Dilbert Discomfort Tribe the other day. It was about belief. It was a study from Harvard where a scientist dropped some rats into a bucket of water. They wanted to see how long the rats could tread water until they gave up and died. And they dropped the rats in the bucket, and the rats treaded water for about 15 minutes. And they gave up and they started to drown. And the scientists picked the rats out, dried them off, let them rest for a little bit. And then they put the rats back in a second time to see how long they would last. And I'll just throw that out to the group here. How long do you think the rats, and if you know the answer, don't spoil it, but if you don't, how long do you think the rats lasted the second time? Throw that in the chat box. Second time the rats were thrown in the water, how long do you think they lasted? They lasted 15 minutes the first time. 16 minutes, 25 minutes longer, 2 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes, hours, an hour. So in reality, the second time the rats were dropped in the water, they treaded water for 60 hours. And the reason they did that is because they believed that someone would go and rescue them as soon as they started to drown. And that's how much stronger your mind is than your body. That's the power of belief. Believing in yourself, believing in the people that believed in you, believing that it'll all work out in the end if you just don't quit. And so I thought that was a really interesting, powerful story. And I'll leave you with that. Like, don't ever think you've arrived because you haven't. You can always push yourself harder.
That is unbelievable. I think we have time for about 2 more questions. We're going to go to Aaron in California.
Thank you so much, Scott, for this masterclass. And Jason, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I've gotten so many quotes I've been like feverishly writing down from you. So thank you.
You're too kind, too kind.
Yeah, I would love to just like tee off on what the last question. And once your team gets to that pinnacle of performance and everyone's a high performer, how do you prevent burnout, both personally, and how do you coach leaders to help their teams avoid burnout? Because I feel like at this point in time, like even the high performers are really feeling it. And there's like, can be a high performer for so long, and then you start to really like the weight of all of it. So would just love to know like how you avoid it personally and then how you coach others.
Great question. First thing is don't put a timeline on it. Don't put a timeline on success. And I'll share another story about Admiral Stockdale. He was the highest ranking prisoner of war in Vietnam. And he was in prison, tortured for 8 years. And when he finally got out, they said, did you ever lose hope? Did you ever think that, it wasn't going to work out for you? He said, nope, I always knew I would get out and I would be rescued one day. And he said, and I also thought that once I got out, this experience would be the most defining moment of my life. And they asked him further, they said, hey, who didn't make it out? Like who broke, who quit, how'd that go? And he said, the optimists. He said, the ones who said, hey, listen, guys, we're going to be here till Thanksgiving and then we're all going to get out. And then they said, we're going to be here till Christmas. We're all going to get out. We're going to be here till Easter. We're all going to get out. Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter would come and go, and they weren't rescued. And so these people were broken. They died of a broken heart. And I would say never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever it might be. And so when you tell your people, you say, listen, this is our goal, this is our vision, this is what we're going to accomplish, and we're not going to quit until we get there. And you inspire them to do that, inspire them that if they accomplish this, they'll be accomplishing their own goals. It's tough to get that flame to burn out. Now, if you say, listen, this is our, we're going to do this until September or whatever. And that's tough, because very rarely do we accomplish things we want to do by that timeline. And when you do that, you're going to hear people stop complaining. You're going to hear people stop saying things like, I'm burned out, or I'm tired, or I need a vacation. And you get people bought in. Now, at the same time, there are times when you got to tell your people, let's take a stop. Let's stop right here. Let's take a breath. Let's take a knee and drink water and face out and look back at what we've accomplished. Look back and celebrate the victories. Just like when you go to the gym, like you can't just work out straight for 60 minutes without taking a break. Your muscles are going to burn out. So you do for example, your bench press set, and you get done and you take a breath and you rest for a little bit, you drink some water, and then you get right back into it. And then I'd leave you with that.
I think it's interesting, especially during COVID. I think a lot of people that really burnt out or didn't make it through, they were like, oh, it's going to last a month. This is going to last 2 months, 6 months, whatever.
Exactly.
And it became very challenging for them, as opposed to kind of knowing this is a moment in time. Don't know how long this moment's going to last, but we're just going to keep plugging away, and we're going to get through it, because everything, changes at some point. But I think COVID's been kind of that test for a lot of individuals and a lot of companies.
Scott, that's a perfect example. I mean, think about the people that that their businesses went under during COVID. They said those exact things. I can last for 2 months. This will be over by the summertime. This will be, they put a timeline on it. And I think you'll see that those folks didn't survive.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. One of my faves, Jason, it would not be a masterclass without you chiming in. So we're going to Florida to Jason.
Well, first off, amazing first name. So thank you for sharing that. And appreciate your service and being on here. This has been awesome. So definitely getting your book. Promise you that. Love the mentality, and being in uncomfortable spots and getting comfortable with them and pushing beyond it. I guess my question is, so once you get comfortable doing something, right? You're talking about lifting as the example there. So obviously you're pushing yourself to that extreme and getting through those tough times, but then there's things you get comfortable with that you just want to improve on. And you could, I guess, look at them similarly. Hey, I'm lifting, but I want to push the limit. I guess, how do you balance that time between continuing to push yourself into the discomfort or uncomfortable areas, and then realizing, here's my gift to kind of what you referenced earlier, what I'm really good at, some of these things, but I can just turn it up a notch there versus the outside of my comfort zone. How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, a lot of people will tell you to focus on your strengths, and I get that. And I agree with that to an extent. One of the questions we had earlier was about the Deliberate Discomfort Challenge, about people quitting and then coming to me and they're asking me, Jason, give me the answers. And I say to them, like, you're the one who has the answers. You tell me what the answer is. And so for people that you're describing in this situation, I would throw it back at them and just say, you tell me. You tell me what you think. What's the answer for you? And I'll support you. Because I can't force you to do something that you don't want to do. I can't do that. I can only inspire you to do it yourself. And that's the same thing in the military. Like, well, he made me do this. He forced me to do this. The drill sergeant was yelling at me. You made the decision. You made the choice. It just inspired you to make that choice, to take action. And so, difficult question, great question. And I would just say it depends on the individual, which is maybe a lame answer, but that's what I'll give you.
No, I think that's fair. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
No doubt.
Jason, you have been an unbelievable supporter of me, whether that's, writing a chapter in Standing O Salute, which if you guys have not picked this up, it's a great book. Jason wrote an incredible chapter in it. But you've always been there to support me, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate our friendship. What can everybody on this call do to help support you? Obviously, a lot of people are very interested in supporting Warrior Rising, but is there anything that we can do to help support you in your mission?
Oh, well, Scott, I appreciate that, man. And I'm honored to be your friend. I wish I could do more for you. I wish I could spend all my time helping you out. So people on the call, continue to support Scott. That's how you can help me out. What I'm doing, and if you're interested in being involved, and maybe I'll inspire you, Warrior Rising. If you want to join us in Las Vegas or New York or in the future in 2022, we do hunts, we do have trips, we have the business showers, we do all sorts of fun stuff. Because the culture that I've established is one of, we help people, we make money, and we do epic shit. That's what I believe in. That's what I like doing. So that's who we are and what we do. And so go to warriorrising.org to learn more, or just email me directly. I'd love to hear from you guys. Jason@warriorrising.org. And Mission 60, if you're so inspired and up for it, join the challenge. We'd love to have you join the tribe. I promise you it will be one of the best decisions you've ever made in your life, especially now that we're older, and our health has sort of gotten away from us. The habits that we really need to have, that we should have, that we know we need to have sort of gotten away from us. It'll really help you out. We also offer a masterclass and a workshop. If your companies are interested in developing leadership, I have a moderator plus a veteran and or a scientist that takes you through each chapter in deliberate discomfort. And we have a live Q&A at the end of every week. You get certified in SHRM and PMI and a bunch of different things as you go through that. So those are some ways you can help out. You can also reach me at jason@mission60.com, all spelled out, Mission 60. And I think that's it, Scott. So I appreciate you having me on, man. And it's been a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. Great questions. And hope everyone took something away from it.
You're the best, my man. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you soon. So thank you guys. I know everybody enjoyed this. There were, I wish I had the opportunity to write notes. Thankfully, all of this will be, it's all recorded. It'll be in the Knowledge Center, so you can go back, which I know I'm going to go back and take my notes, because Jason dropped some absolute bombs today that are really going to change. I think one of the cool things about these master classes is you can see that somebody like Jason, who's about as accomplished as you can get, they're very accessible. So, I would say access is everything. And that's what we're trying to do in the TCC, is give you access to extraordinary people that can help you become better people over everything leaders. And hopefully we accomplish that today. So I appreciate everybody carving out an hour of their time. And Jason, just once again, thank you. Thank you so much.
I no need to say thanks. It's my honor, my pleasure. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for creating this, bringing everybody together. Keep trucking, man. One foot in front of the other. Proud of you, man.
Got it, brother. Thanks.